And now, your daily dose of debate, breaking news, and uncensored views. This is the Michael Medved Show.
And another great day, another great week, in fact, in this greatest nation on God's green earth. But the news isn't all great. In fact, the news from around the world is disturbing. Lots of shootings, lots of killing, lots of insecurity and assault and difficulty in Europe, in the United States, all over the United States, and right here in the city of Seattle. International news made by Seattle. It's usually, we're not in the news except if something terrible happens, and this is all terrible. Seattle Center mass shooting, what we know, published most recently by the Seattle Times, with one of the shooters already in custody, and the other one, they're still looking for him. The 3 people were killed and 5 were injured after a mass shooting at a food festival near the Space Needle and Seattle Center on Sunday evening. This was at 6 o'clock Sunday evening, according to Seattle police, and to thousands of eyewitnesses. There were close to 300,000 people who came out to participate in a Bite of Seattle, a food festival where people come out from various restaurants and they set up trucks and they set up basically displays of what they have to offer in the way of food. And it's a summertime and it was a lovely day and there are thousands of people. And then the shooting began. Seattle Times reports that a chaotic scene erupted around 6 p.m. at the 74-acre Seattle Center, which was hosting thousands of people for the Bite of Seattle Food Festival. And for people who don't know Seattle, the Seattle Center is where they held the World's Fair of 1962 in Seattle, which was when I was a kid. Really a kid. My parents took me to that World's Fair. It's the first time I'd ever been to Seattle. And I kind of fell in love with the city then while we were still living in California. In any event, that was Seattle Center, and the Space Needle, which was part of the construction of the Seattle Center, became a symbol of the city of Seattle, recognized all around the world. A chaotic scene erupted around 6 p.m. One person was taken into custody, and another suspected shooter remained at large. The police said that there may be more shooters, but probably not. There were these 2 individuals who were shooting at each other, and the people who died and the people who were severely injured, including a 2-year-old who was critically injured, a toddler. Those people were just in the line of fire with extensive shots fired from one person to the next. Gunshots erupted at Seattle Center around 6 p.m., sending crowds of people running and seeking shelter. According to police, the shooting occurred outside the Armory near the building's northwest corner. I know exactly where that is, of course. Police said there were no cameras that captured the shooting, and investigators are working to locate and speak with witnesses. A witness who was attending the Bite of Seattle, 25-year-old Eston Wakanabo, said he saw people trampling each other as they tried to flee. He saw multiple shooting victims on the ground, including a body covered with a yellow sheet. The Seattle Fire Department confirmed 2 deaths at around 7:45 p.m. and said crews had treated 5 other people. A 2-year-old boy, that was a toddler I mentioned, a 23-year-old man, a 39-year-old woman, a 40-year-old woman with minor injuries, and a 56-year-old woman with critical and life-threatening injuries. A terrible, terrible thing. At a police news conference around 11 p.m. last night, Police officials said one of the wounded people had died at Harborview Medical Center, bringing the death toll to 3. A 19-year-old man, a 44-year-old man, and a 56-year-old woman died, the Seattle authorities said. And what do we know about a shooter or shooters? Investigators believe 2 people were shooting at each other at the Seattle Center, police officials said. 1 person was taken into custody while a second person remained at large. Police officials said the second person does not appear to pose a threat to the general public. He described the detained person as a young person, but would not say whether he is a juvenile or an adult. Police did not provide additional information about either person. And meanwhile, there is this from around the world: violence and mass shootings. Seattle, Chicago, Berlin, Paris. For instance, in Berlin, this has gotten a great deal of attention. A deadly vehicle ramming and machete attack at Berlin's Pride Festival left 1 person dead and 29 injured. The suspected Islamist extremist Abdul Balaut fled the scene but was later shot and killed by police during a manhunt. And then in Paris, a knife-wielding madman said he was being, quote, commanded by Allah when he cut down 3 women on the streets of Paris today, Monday, including a pregnant expectant mother, in a shocking caught-on-camera attack. The horrifying assault unfolded Monday in the north of Paris at Porte de Clichy, near the Paris court. The man, seen in social media video with long dark hair and wearing a cream-colored tracksuit, stalked the sidewalk clutching a pair of butcher knives, which he used for his murderous rampage. And in Chicago, a mass shooting sent 6 people to the hospital at the Humboldt Park community early yesterday morning. The shooting happened at 2:09 a.m. this morning. This is on the 900 block of North Central Avenue near Augusta Boulevard. Police said someone fired a gun and the gunfire struck all. This is appalling. And you have this random violence going on. The idea that some of the violence may have political or terrorist implications, well, that is certainly true of Berlin's Pride Festival, where the Islamist extremist named Abdul Balaut has been, identified and killed. And there was certainly a murderous and radical intentions on his part. Now, what all of this signifies, it turns the world's attention again to the war in Iran, where the Houthis provide a new deadly element, and there appears to be very little progress or chance of progress in terms of any kind of peace settlement. We will get to a headline that says, "Stuck in Iran, Trump learns the limit of power." Even with America's overwhelming military capability, we will get to that and more coming up on The Medved Show.
The Michael Medved Show.
Listen.
Nationwide.
Listen.
And around the world at michaelmedved.com.
And listen.
And on the Michael Medved Show, David Sanger, who is the veteran foreign policy, national security correspondent for the New York Times, has a front page article under the heading, "Stuck in Iran, Trump learns the limit of power. 5 months into Iran war, bold goals are unmet." And David Sanger writes that President Trump often celebrates his unpredictability, declaring that it keeps allies and adversaries alike off balance. And actually, there's plenty of off-balance material that was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that President Trump took several hours of his time to address. We will get to that coming up on the Medved Show. But David Sanger writes, by President Trump's telling, his willingness to bomb Iranian nuclear sites 13 months ago and send Delta Force commandos in to snatch President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela from his bed in early January, that all reflected his determination to execute military operations that would have made his predecessors blanch. And that's probably true. He told the New York Times he was limited only by, quote, my own morality, as he wielded the world's biggest hammer. But in recent weeks, he has seemed trapped. His presidency gradually consumed by a war he cannot find his way out of. He has discovered limits on his power that he could have scarcely imagined as he began full combat operations in February 28th, when he set out goals for a swift end to Iran's nuclear program and the overthrow of the country's government. 5 months later, those goals remain almost entirely unaccomplished, and Mr. Trump, once confident that overwhelming force would enable him to pursue in Iran what he proudly called the Venezuela model, a change of government is one amenable to the U.S. control. This is now hesitant to plunge back into a major combat operation that has his intelligence agencies assess are unlikely to work. The unlikely to work is highlighted by a massive new billboard in Tehran, and it's a bright red billboard showing an intense likeness of President Trump, and it's unmistakable. It's with the hair, and it's him. And he is in the process of being strangled. There are 6 different hands around his neck, and the caption is, "Revenge is inevitable." A massive new billboard has gone up in Tehran mocking Donald Trump and issuing a bold new threat. The billboard shows the U.S. leader looking panicked. Well, it looks like he's gasping for breath as a bunch of hands strangle him. It was installed along Jamhuri Street in central Tehran. Text alongside the image reads in English and in Parsi, in the language of Iran, revenge is inevitable. And meanwhile, they have a further bulletin that the U.S. and Iran pause fighting for a second straight day. Mediators are at work? That's a question mark. The war between the United States and Iran remained on pause for a second straight day on Sunday, while the Iranian Foreign Ministry said that there had been some movement in talks between Tehran and mediators over the Strait of Hormuz. No U.S. strikes on Iran have been reported since Friday, while Iran has similarly held off attacking American allies around the Middle East after about 2 weeks of skirmishes brought the two countries back to the brink of full-blown war. President Trump decided last week to put off plans to escalate the U.S. assault on Iran, at least for now, that according to U.S. officials. Mr. Trump and his aides were motivated in part by dwindling stock of interceptors, and that's a very serious matter, to shoot down the Iranian missiles. And they said that the officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss operational matters. Meanwhile, there is this story from Iranian officials and an unexpected connection. Those Iranian officials are not only hitting back at the United States, they're ramping up threats toward Ukraine. After Ukraine attacked an Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea, killing 1 and injuring 3, President Donald Trump is giving talks with Iran some space, he says, during an apparent pause in strikes, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Michael Waltz, said. The Pentagon quietly updated its war casualty database to 624. That's 624 American casualties. That was updated on Saturday, recording additional 140 who were wounded. An additional 18 troops have been killed. And the idea of the updating of the number of wounded troops, and that we're talking about over 600 now, this is all extremely difficult and depressing, and certainly for people who want to see America win this war, as I believe the overwhelming majority of Americans want. I mean, that's something we hope for. Nobody in this country, nobody who's sane, wants to see the evil terrorist regime in Iran live up to its boasts of victory over the United States. And meanwhile, the difficulties facing President Trump politically are intense. Breaking news from Politico, John Thune, the majority leader in the U.S. Senate, Republican leader, wants to clear a government funding stopgap, a long-stalled Russian sanctions bill, and dozens of nominees. But he's also facing pressure from President Trump and some of his right flank to make progress on the Save America Act. Meanwhile, President Trump is entertaining the world with his speech over the weekend at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Yes, they held it. So what did the president say? We'll get to that and more coming up on the Medved Show.
The greatest show on God's green earth.
Epic Fury!
It's the Michael Medved Show.
Is that a great name?
Boy, it sounds like fun. Is that what we're having? The Washington Post reports this morning that the weirdest White House Correspondents' Dinner had abruptly ended 3 months ago with shoes and rolls of bread on the floor. A Secret Service evacuating the building and journalists ducked under tables, reporting that a gunman had attempted to assassinate the president. You remember that? The second weirdest White House Correspondents' Dinner was much less dramatic. Security made sure of that, but made up for it by being crass and surreal and deeply cringe-worthy, so writes Maura Judkis of the Washington Post. This time, the journalists and cabinet members got to eat their surf and turf. And this time, they got to hear the president speak. And boy, did he ever, in more than an hour-long speech that swerved between jokes that fell flat and flat-out insults. He told a sex joke and several fat jokes. We'll get to that. He called Senator Adam Schiff watermelon head. He went on long tangents about subjects ranging from the 4th of July fireworks to Bruce Springsteen to his forthcoming and cherished ballroom, joking about a third and even fourth term. He trotted out his often repeated lines about how America used to be a dead country and is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. And he showed that heat with the very beginning of his speech when he threw out to the audience a red MAGA hat that said Trump 2028. That's an announcement of candidacy. Well, here's what the president said at the very beginning of his speech, clip 25.
I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as president of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official. In fact, I think I have. Yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times. Did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it.
Did you notice the complete silence by the crowd of 700 celebrants at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Then he went on to talk about the location of the Correspondents' Dinner this time. They had moved to the hotel, which used to be owned. It used to be a post office, and then it used to be owned by the Trump family. And then he sold it, but he talked about its experience with that particular building, which went back for some time. This is President Trump again at the White House Correspondents Association dinner.
But I am delighted to be here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Amazing people, a lot of people that I like. Some I don't like at all. But I respect most of them. I must say that you do a great job, amazing job, and it's an honor. As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on. We were backstage, and we both wanted to just have it go on, whether it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter. But in the end, it made more sense to do it the way we're doing it. And we had a great news conference at the White House, in a very important room. And you did very well. I think we all did very well. It was a hell of an evening, I can tell you that. Won't soon be forgotten. And I think a lot was learned from that evening. A tremendous amount was learned about security and about other things, the dangers of what we all do. But just like my presidency, the second time is always better. It's always better. And the third time will be better yet. I'm only kidding.
I'm only kidding. Then he refers to being back at a place that he knows well because he used to own the building. He didn't really build it, but he likes to think that he did. This is clip 24.
Wow, that was very beautiful, but this has not been an easy evening, all these awards. Do I have a say in those awards, all those awards? But it's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it. And I'm very proud of it because I built it for $2.9 billion less than the Federal Reserve building, which is a lot smaller, by the way.
And then he had a joke about CBS, one of the evil networks that he has condemned as part of the fake news. He said this about CBS, clip 22.
While I have all of the press here in one place, I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman.
Okay, you heard the uproarious laughter, and then he could not escape without making comments about Gavin Newsom, who he calls Gavin New Scum, who wasn't there. This is clip 21.
And it's traditional that at least one or two potential presidential hopefuls attend the Correspondents' Dinner, but many of them seem to have really chickened out. I was disappointed that Gavin Newsom didn't show up. He didn't show up. He should be here. But I heard that he recently said that we will lose our country if we don't fight fire with fire. And to be fair, there's only one thing we know about Gavin, and that's that he definitely doesn't want to fight fire with water. He's got a lot of water he never uses. What a disaster. That should have never happened.
Okay, no laughter at all. And then he had more about CBS and David Ellison and talking about next year's basic experience with the Correspondents' Dinner and under what terms President Trump planned to come back. There is much more, and even at the end of a very uncomfortable full-hour presentation, there's an attack on one of the groups you wouldn't have expected President Trump to attack, which is his own speechwriters. We will get to that and to other highlights and lowlights of the president's epic address to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That and more coming up on The Medved Show.
Join in your daily dose of debate.
I listen to you occasionally when I'm driving. It turns my stomach every time I do.
The Michael Medved Show.
Over the weekend, President Trump delivered the featured address at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He actually showed up, and he made reference to showing up again next year. Believe it or not. Here's President Trump, clip 19.
But tonight's event is even crazier than the last time. In fact, it's so successful that I've been informed by CBS News' David Ellison, who's going to do a fantastic job. He's the owner. He bought it, spent a lot of money, and he's going to make, I think, fantastic changes and keep some of the great stuff going. But that next year they're going to call it the Trump White House Correspondents' Center. He told me that, and I like that very much. We're going to change the name of it, okay? Oh, it's going to be so hot, just like our country is hot. We are hot, by the way. But to be honest, it's just about the only way that they're going to ever get me back here. You're going to have to change the name of the dinner. Well,
and then he spoke about Caitlin Collins of CNN and attacked her for never smiling. Clip 20.
But I want to personally congratulate CNN's Caitlin Collins on receiving her award. It was all about me. It's a fake. She shouldn't get the award. It was a fake, but I didn't mind. I said, Caitlin, congratulations. But it was fake. There's no question about it. But she's a young, attractive woman. She never smiles. I said, Caitlin, do you ever smile? Smile. You have a nice position. You're at CNN Fake News. You should be a happy person. So smile, Caitlin. Just smile. But
she wasn't smiling. And neither was the one member of the Trump administration who got fairly harshly mocked in the course of President Trump's speech. I'm talking about the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy. This is clip 18.
I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. And Bobby also suggested an appetizer featuring his favorite cut of male raccoon roadkill. But we drew the line at that, Cheryl. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We love Bobby. I'll tell you, he's a piece of work. You think it is fun, but he is a very different kind of a person, I will tell you.
Okay, the biggest laugh of the evening, the one joke aimed at a member of his own administration, really. He did speak about the gathering, and he claimed, President Trump, that it was a gathering of TDS people. TDS stands for Trump Derangement Syndrome. Clip 17.
But Caroline may have one of the hardest jobs in the White House. She has to deal with all of you all of the time. And you can be very difficult. You can be very, very difficult people. But I'm probably being a little bit oversensitive. Sometimes I really do think that some of you don't like me. In fact, I read a report. I get 93% negative publicity. 93. So how the hell did I win the election by so much? Think of it. I don't think that's true. I can't believe it's 93. In the 80s, maybe, but not 93. But this place is really the largest group of Trump derangement syndrome people ever put together at one time, I suspect.
I think he's underestimating his pulling power. He also talked about Graham Plattner, who is, well, in Trump's view, another lunatic. This is clip 16.
And they nominated a guy with a Nazi tattoo. But don't worry, Democrats. Word is that Plattner's replacement, he throws bottles at women. This guy throws bottles. This guy's another lunatic, by the way. Although I think Plattner might have done surprisingly well because we're in the age of Trump. Call it what you want. People can do well today. Plattner, I don't know. But, people don't have the guts to stick it out, but it looked like he was guilty of a lot of stuff. He certainly didn't defend himself very well.
Okay, the one organization or institution that got affectionate references from President Trump was the Secret Service. It sounded like this, clip 15.
I want to begin by expressing our gratitude to the incredible men and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect my family and myself, all presidents and lots of others. That's the United States Secret Service. So I appreciate it very much. And Sean and the whole group, amazing job. Amazing job. In recent months, they've repeatedly responded to threats with speed and professionalism and extraordinary courage. And there is no better example of that than Officer Victor Gonzalez, who we just met. It was amazing. What he did was amazing.
Okay, this is the one warm bit of response that President Trump received. And the last time, everyone thought that the whole thing was a setup, but it wasn't. And Victor Gonzalez was one of those members of the Secret Service who actually did help protect people who needed protection at that time. And Trump, meanwhile, slammed Ilhan Omar and her speech referring to World War II as World War XI. This was clip 14.
It's becoming such a horrible and dangerous location that Ilhan Omar, one of my favorites, and her brother are thinking about moving together, very much in love. A video has surfaced recently of Ilhan giving a speech referring to World War II as World War XI. And they asked her about that. She thought she got it right. But I'm not surprised because she's a low IQ person. And she's also a very dishonest person. And she ought to get the hell out of our country. She shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be in our country. She also calls her brother husband number one. Omar is reportedly being investigated for fraud. She revised her net worth. I was shocked to see that she was worth much more than $30 million.
Okay, this is dead silence. Not a chuckle, not a response. And then President Trump also took off after professional comedians who don't always spare him in their humor. This is clip 11.
But this year, the association decided not to have a comedian, so they considered using Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. These guys, they're terrible. They're terrible. Stephen Colbert. These are people without talent. They get a lot. They have talent. You know who has talent? Their agent, getting them the money they get. They have no talent. But they are not comedians. They're not funny people. They're angry people. They're sick people. But the association really put on a big show, and they have somebody very special. I look forward to seeing him. And so they thought about going with a professional clown for entertainment, but Adam Shifty Schiff was not available.
And again, you hear the uproarious laughter. Yeah, really something. Coming up, there's a piece in National Review that takes a look at the replacement to Graham Plattner. And the replacement, says the National Review, Troy Jackson, who's running for U.S. Senate, a Democratic nominee against Susan Collins, the Republican from Maine. Troy Jackson is just as radical as Graham Plattner. Is that true? We'll show you how and why and more coming up in This Greatest Nation on God's Green Earth.